Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with more entertainment news. I was scrolling through the variety.com and there was an article posted of the 100 greatest TV performances of the 21st century. So this started from January 1st, 2001 until now. So all of those great TV performances that we saw from around that time. And it was very interesting to see the topics that they picked for those performances because most of the performances I had never heard of. So I'll run through the top 10 of the performances uh, that they listed for the top 10, and then I'll put down or, you know, give out my top 10, well, not top 10, but some performances I think that were noteworthy that they probably didn't, that they didn't pick. So they listed Dr. Christina Yang from Grey's Anatomy, her performance. And then they listed Kim Wexler from Better Call Saul, a show that I only watched a couple episodes from. Captain Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Everyone says it's a great show. I haven't watched it. And then 7, they had Nora Durst from The Leftovers. And then 6, one of my favorite, Omar Little from The Wire. 5, another favorite, Walter White from Breaking Bad. And then Valerie Cherish from The Comeback. Peggy Olson, Mad Men. Kendall Roy, The Secession. And then number 1 was Selena Meyer from Veep. Now, I only seen like 2 of these, or probably 3 of those 10 shows, but it had me debating about my favorites. Now, Michael K. Williams and Bryan Cranston in those, and The Wire and Breaking Bad, respectively, are the only 2 that I recognize, but those are 2 excellent choices in that top 10. Now, Omar, Michael K. Williams, rest in peace, and Walter White, very dynamic characters who pretty much stay stagnant throughout their characters, but they play very excellent characters and historical characters. Some of the top, those TV shows are top, and everyone's mostly top 5 or top 10 at least. But I could debate that Jesse Pinkman, who's played by, Jesse Pinkman's character, who's played by Aaron Paul, his character could be more important than Walter White's, but I think they just went off because, I understand because Walter White is the main character, but Jesse Pinkman, like, pretty much was the catalyst of the show. Without him and his contributions to Walter White, he wouldn't know how to get to the streets, and he wouldn't know how to get the base that he had. Even though, Jesse changed throughout the show and he wanted to get out of it, he was still the catalyst of it. And a lot of things were geared around his behavior and the things that happened to him. But I can understand why they picked Walter White instead of picking Jesse Pinkman character, because Walter White was the main character. The show was geared around him, so to speak. But the storyline was a lot geared around Jesse Pinkman and his relationships and things that he did on the show. But the list had me thinking about my top performances of the 21st century. So from January 1st, 2001 to current day. And some of them I think they left out. I'm not sure why, but, out of the top 10 at least, I'm pretty sure they're on the list somewhere. But one of my favorite characters of all time is Viola Davis's character, Annalise Keating, from How to Get Away with Murder. Very smart and passionate character. Very clever and intelligent as well. The way she handled her students and the way she solved cases. Any problem that came up, it's like, oh man, how she's going to get out of this? She somehow gets out of that trick bag somehow. It's great writing on the show as well, but being able to deliver such a strong and dynamic character, it was a bravo. It was a chef's kiss, as they call now. But Viola Davis is very unique too, because she can play any character. She usually plays strong characters who have a strong will and independent. And this is the character, no other than that. She was very, very strong-willed and independent, and she was a leader because she was a teacher of these students, and she brought them along her cases to help her solve these cases. And she gave them world knowledge of what is law. It's not about what you can or what you know, but what you can prove in court and how you can convey it to the jury and how you can sway the jury and how you can paint your picture and your narrative. It was about being an artist at the end of the day, and that's what she showed those students on that show. Very, very good show. I watched all the seasons. I need to go back and run through it again because it's a lot of stuff that you miss when you watch it on the first go. Just trying to get ingratiated with all these different characters and personalities. But definitely check out How to Get Away with Murder, Annalise Keating, Viola Davis. Very good watch. And nextly, the Netflix show Ozark. I think Julia Gardner's character, Ruth. Now, she was very fun and emotional character who evoked intrigue and comic relief because she always put cussing words that didn't go together, like I don't know, F about S and stuff like that. So I thought she deserved an award for her performance, especially in that last season after finding out her cousin was killed by one of her associates. She got in the car and she started yelling. She got very emotional. It felt like it was real. Like it really happened to her before and she got into her bag or she got into some hurt that she had before and she just delivered a great performance. And it was one of those shows where the season finale, they split up the finale in two parts. So we was left at the end of the first part with that. So it made you wanted to watch the second part at the end because you could tell she was gonna be no holds barred and she really didn't give a F about anything going forward because she was hurt and she came a place where she didn't have much family and her cousin was one of the 2 or 3 family members that she had left at that point. So she was off the rails as Ruth in Ozark. Very good show as well. I think it was only 3 seasons, Netflix show. Definitely check that one out. But Julia Gardner as Ruth in Ozark was definitely one of my top 21st century performances. Next is, of course, Bryan Cranston, but not for the show that you're thinking. It's not for Breaking Bad, but it's for Your Honor, where he played Michael Desiato. And it was a very underrated show with great writing. Unfortunately, it only had 2 seasons. It was only supposed to be designed for a pilot season. It was only supposed to be 1 season, but the first season did so well, they came back for a second season. Now, this is a Showtime show that doesn't get a lot of popularity like the HBOs and the Netflix and Hulus and things like that. So I think this show flew under the radar because of that. But Bryan Cranston showing that range, from playing a teacher who was, selling products to going to a judge, an honorable judge. He showed some incredible range. But, Bryan's character in Your Honor, one of my favorite shows, just for the simple fact of the writing, and it never got stale and never felt like it got drawn out, even though they did the 10 episode things. Towards the end, it started getting unbelievable or it started getting drawn out, but that show was very realistic. I do believe it was based on the book, so it has some already some elements placed there, so you didn't go too far, I guess. But nevertheless, Bryan Cranston's character was very good, and he showed that he wouldn't be typecasted from Breaking Bad, because a lot of time these characters play so great in one role, we don't want to see them in other roles because we only see him as that character. But he was able to escape that typecast from being Walter White and being Michael Desiato. Changed the whole thing. So you can get out of that box, but you just have to play more an immaculate character in the next one, because otherwise they're gonna say, well, he's only good as this type of character. But see, Bryan Cranston has that range. Very good actor, and like I said, he was able to get out of that typecast role. So that's one of my favorite performances. And then lastly, Lakeith Stanfield's character Darius in Atlanta, very unique character, very thought-provoking, always kept the audience on his toes with what he was about to say or do. He was very sporadic. He was a wild card. Just his character always had next level thinking when he had the conspiracy about Florida and how Florida is so crazy because of they don't want people in Florida because they vote down there and it's a lot of voting that you have to do and they're trying to keep people away from Florida so they don't have to vote. It's crazy conspiracies, but it was very funny just to think about the things he would say and he would do. Like the episode, he was buying a piano from this guy, or he was getting a free piano from this guy who looked or mimicked, Michael Jackson in real life. And the whole episode was about him buying this piano and being stuck in his house. And just hanging with this guy. It was very it was very funny and very entertaining to see his character. And he has a lot of range as well because he can play these different characters. And that's the true essence of being a great actor, is being able to have range, not playing the same character every time or not having the same storyline every time. But the Keith Stanfield's character was listed on the top 100 performances, just wasn't top 10. But like I said, my top 10 is going to be a lot different than theirs because a lot of those shows I've never seen before. And a lot of them are sitcoms, and they're not, uh, shows that are just based on a storyline. It's just random comedy or random situations every show, which what Atlanta is with Donald Glover. But a lot of those storylines had real life people imitated in them, and you had to guess who the people were. So that was the interesting thing about Atlanta. But all of these characters were well deserving of being the top performances, but I just had different characters I wanted to add in the mix. But check out the list and tell me what you think. But until next time, I'll see you next time.